Well, hello everyone. It is a nice autumn afternoon. It's finally stopped raining. So I'm getting on with a job that I need to do on the Focus, and the subject for today is track rod ends. I have actually already replaced the track rod end on this side, and the reason I did that was because when I changed this lower control arm a while back, I had to remove the track rod end in order to get this bottom joint out. And when I was tightening it back up again, the stud in here actually snapped off completely. So I replaced it with a different track rod end, but actually unknowingly it was the wrong track rod end for this car. So it was the wrong size, and it meant I had to wind it on a lot further to get it to fit. I don't know what Focus it was actually for, maybe the Mark III, I'm not sure. But it's been on my list to change it out with the correct one for quite a while now. So I have now replaced it with this, which is the correct one. And the issue when doing track rod ends, of course, is alignment. Obviously, if you can put an exact like-for-like part on, then you can just wind it back to the same point and your alignment should be more or less okay. But in my case, because I'd actually put an incorrect one on, I had no point of measure to go on when I put the correct one back on again. So what I did was I got it looking visually about right, and then I took the car for a drive and basically did a few iterations of adjustments until the car was not pulling to one side or the other and was driving more or less straight. Now I want to replace the track rod end on this side, and the reason is really just so that I can have identical track rod ends on both sides of the car. I don't really like having mismatched track rod ends. So even though this one is actually okay still, I'm still going to swap it out with the equivalent part for this side of the car, which matches the one on the other side. So that's going to mean that the alignment will be pretty much completely out now on the front of the car. So what I'm going to have to do is do a manual alignment. So what I did is I went out and bought this little alignment tool on eBay. And essentially it just consists of these two metal bars which you attach to the wheel hubs. I've had to add some little spacers here just to make sure that they clear the brake caliper here. And then they have two tape measures which you attach on both sides, and you stretch them along underneath the car, and then they basically hang over this side. And essentially what it allows you to do is see whether the front and the back of the wheels have the same measurement, and then you know that the wheels are completely parallel with one another. From the factory, the Focus actually suggests having a slight toe in of 0.7 degrees. You could calculate this with a bit of trigonometry. You could figure out what the difference needs to be between front and back to give you a slight toe in. But in fact, there is a bit of tolerance allowed from factory, which is, I think it's, off the top of my head, it's like 1.7, I think, is the tolerance in either direction. So that means that a 0% alignment, where the wheels are completely parallel to one another, is actually within spec for this car. So that's what I'm going to try and do here, is I'm just going to get the measurement the same on both sides, and that should then hopefully mean that the front wheels are both pointing straight in the same direction. So I'm going to try doing that, and then I'll take the car for a drive, and if it's pulling to the left or the right, then what I'll do is I'll just adjust both sides equally in the same amount. So that will just bring the wheels, if they are both pointing slightly left or slightly right, I can adjust that. But as long as I make sure that the adjustment is the same on both sides, the wheels should stay aligned. So that's my plan. Obviously this is a bit janky. It's not going to give you a really detailed alignment like you can get at a garage that has a proper laser alignment. But it'll just mean that in the meantime I can still drive the car and it's not going to ruin the tyres. It'll be good enough just for the short while until I can get a proper alignment done. So first thing I'm going to do is get this old track rod end off. So to do that I need to loosen up this lock nut and then take off this bolt at the top here. Unfortunately I don't have the correct size spanner, so I'm going to have to use a shifting spanner for this. Don't hate me too much. I know that shifting spanners are really not great, but unfortunately in this particular case I don't have any other option, so that's what I'm going to use. Right, so I got that off. So now we can proceed with getting this nut off. I'm just going to use the Ugga Dugga for that. There you go. Best tool I ever bought. Okay. some encouragement. There we go. Right, now we can proceed with winding off the old one. It's alright, but it is quite loose, so probably was getting towards the end of its life anyway. So let's get the new one on. Now, to be honest with you, when I've been doing this job, I've often found that even if you buy the correct replacement part and everything is as it should be, the new part just doesn't quite line up with the old part. And that's why when you're doing track rod ends or a job like this, you really do need to just have some way of aligning the wheels afterwards, because otherwise you're really going to have a bad time in terms of trying to get your car back on the road. See, like here, this is a correct part, and it looks about the same, but it's not quite lining up here. I'm going to have to back this off a bit more. Oh, that's tight. Yeah, that's better. Always a bit of a fiddle getting this lined up here, but that should go in quite nicely, I think. That's it. So you can see this is nowhere near where it was on the old part. And unfortunately that is just how it is with replacement parts. They just often are not the same. It's not even the same nut size. Cool. Alright, so new track rod end is on, it's all secured down, but it is not aligned yet, so I have not secured this nut. So the next job is to try and get the alignment right, and for that we're going to use this janky little alignment tool. Okay, so it's quite important to make sure that the steering wheel is set straight ahead, and then I've got my alignment tool set up on this side, and then we've run the tapes across and secured them on this side. This has to be parallel to the bottom of the car as well, because you want it to be level, basically. The car is up on axle stand, so it's not completely on a level right now, so I've just aligned it to the bottom of the car. So first glance here, you can see that this is reading 163.5 and this is reading 163. So this means we've got quite a bit of toe out at the moment. So I'm going to start by adjusting the toe on this side a little bit to try and get it a bit closer. So to get the wheel to toe in, we need the back to come out. And that means we need to make this rod longer. So we have to extend this. So we have to unwind this to basically lengthen the rod. So one thing which is suggested is that you remove the spring clip on the boot here. And just get it out the way, because that will allow the boot to move more freely and stop it from getting crunched. Okay, so we need to unwind this. Okay, let's go and check again. So this is now reading 163, and that's actually pretty good, I would say. It's a little bit, looks like it's slightly toed out still. Is it? That's 163. Actually, that's almost bang on, you know. So maybe what I'm going to do is try that, because that really is pretty much exactly 163 on both sides now. And we'll see if the car is now pulling to the left or the right when I take it for a drive. If it is, then what I'm going to have to do is adjust on both sides so that the wheels are straight. Right, so I'm just going to nip this lock nut up. Just for now. Once I'm happy with the alignment, I will do a proper torque up. Let's just make sure this is straight as well. Seems like that's fine. Right, so I just took it for a drive and it seems to be driving fine, but I do have to keep the wheel a bit right of center in order to keep the car in a straight line. So it's pulling a bit to the left. So what I need to do is adjust this side in a bit and that side out a bit. Right, so we need to bring this. Is this even moving? Yeah, it is. 1, 2. Right, we'll pull that in 2. Let's do the other side then. Right, so this needs to go out. I need to wind it. Wind it out. 1, 2. Right, so I just took it for another drive, and actually I would say that's pretty bob on now. I don't have to keep holding the steering wheel left of center or right of center. I can just hold it straight ahead. Over a very long period of time, it does pull very slightly to the left, which I don't think is a bad thing really, because if I was ever to, I don't know, have a heart attack or something at the wheel, you would want the car to move off to the side of the road rather than go into the middle of the road. So a very slight movement towards the left is not actually a big deal. So I think that'll do for now. As I say, this is a pretty rough way to do alignment. I will take it for a proper alignment at a garage probably within the next couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see how far out I actually was. So if I do have that information, what I'll do is I'll put it into the description of this video later, just for a bit of extra info. But I definitely think this is better than my line of sight alignment that I did previously. The toe was definitely out, and that was really making the vehicle feel a little bit unstable on the road. It felt a little bit jittery, especially when the road was wet. It was almost feeling a little bit like it was skating, which it wasn't really, but it's just because toe out is a bit of an unstable alignment setting for a car. So yeah, I think this is good, job done, and this will do until I can get a proper alignment done.